Joining me now to discuss is National Radio Hall of Famer, the host of the Michael Savage podcast, Dr. Michael Savage. He's also the author of the book, Our Fight for America, The War Continues. Dr. Savage, great to see you as always. So we know that Boudin, a guy who you wanted gone as much as anybody else, he's out. Now, what about George Gascon? Will this recall be successful, or is L.A. a little bit of a different animal here?
Logan, thanks for having me. Look, there's only one answer to this. I watch your show. I see them flooding America with illegal aliens. You know, most of them don't belong here. We know most of them are going to contribute nothing to the society. We know most of them are going to be leeches on this society. We see DAs who take the side of criminals. We see cops are killed in L.A., and we get the shocking story that Gascon passed a law. No one will believe this, Logan. L.A. County will pay for the cop killers' funerals. Did you know this? No one could believe this. The gangster, the cartel gangster who killed 2 cops last week, will have a funeral paid for by L.A. County because of this wonderful human being, George Gascon. Now, let me give you some background on this character. This guy was once the DA of San Francisco. He was run out of this city on a rail because he destroyed the police department. Whatever he did to this city, he just did to L.A. Who is he? How does one man destroy one city and then go to another without going to jail? Nobody will look into that. Nobody will look into who is behind Gascon. And as I have said before, without law, there can be no order. These are lawless, criminal people. Why do we treat them with such dignity like they're some respected figure because they have the word DA behind their name? Who is he? Who put him in power? Now, if you start investigating who put him in power, that he can decimate a police department and cause such chaos and mayhem in San Francisco, and then instead of being put in prison, he goes to L.A. and with monies, no one knows who gave him the monies. Soros is part of it, but not all of it. Other forces in L.A. put him into the DA's office in L.A., and all of a sudden, cop killings, follow home robberies, beatings in Beverly Hills, beatings in restaurants. And to top it off, the cherry on the cake, we learned just yesterday that according to Gascon's own laws, George Gascon's directive makes L.A. County pay for the cop killer's funeral. I swear to you, I'm not making this up. Corporal Paredes is dead. Officer Joseph Santana is dead, killed by this gangbanger. And now the people of the city are going to have to pay for the gangbanger's funeral. What will that do to the hearts of the dead officers? How much more can this country take of these left-wing scum? They are criminals. They're not equal to the rest of us. People won't look behind the picture. All they say is Soros funded them. That's not good enough. There's much more to this picture than meets the eye. It's criminal gangs putting them in office, in my opinion. Do I have proof to that effect? Of course not. I'm not an investigative reporter, but I've studied enough history to know something more is behind this picture than meets the eye. Look, just this week, you see these pictures you're running of these smash and grab robberies? These are organized gangs that are run. There's a great story on this, came out in San Francisco, great reporter. These are run by organized criminal gangs. And when they rob the stores, they don't use the stuff. They get a certain amount of money per item. Then it's fenced up the hill, and then it's sold.
Yeah,
and
they got a
money is
pawn
made
shop.
off it.
It's like a pawn business that they're running.
So you have to ask, does it go uphill? Does any of that money that's being stolen in the streets go up to congressmen and women? Excuse me? Does it go up to senators? It can't happen here. It happened in Mexico, didn't it? Until the people took to the streets and overthrew the cartel-placed mayors and governors of various districts of Mexico. Do I have to go any further? Because as far as I can tell, if I were writing a novel, that's what's happening in the United States of America. They have taken over the United States, and that's who these DAs are. And that's my guess. Do I have proof? No. But remember this, Logan, when all else fails, people say, how did they do this? Why did they do this? Why did they flood America? Why do we spend billions of dollars on Ukraine when no one knows where Ukraine is? There's only one answer for all of this, Logan. Liberalism is a mental disorder. They are mentally disordered, whether it's the trans in sports, pretending to be women so they can beat women, and we're supposed to say, oh, no, they're equal to women. They're not equal to women. These are men faking it, making believe they're women to beat women in sports. Common sense. Why? Liberalism. I wrote this book 20 years ago. Pardon me for seeing what was going on then.
Definitely ahead of your time, Dr. Savage.
I may look a little older, but my brain is still younger.
Now, I'll mention one more quick crime thing before we get into our next segment. Now, a man who was going 100 miles per hour, shooting at police, was an illegal immigrant who was deported 7 times. So again, if you're a citizen, a lot of these people are getting out of jail 10, 40 times for violent offenses. 7 deportations. This guy finds his way to Minnesota. But I want to talk about this scenario where a man drove his car into a Trump store. This, is being called a crash. It seems like it was intentional. Barreled right through a Trump store. My question to you is, do you think this was a hate crime or a politically motivated terrorist?
Well, I don't know who was driving the car. I mean, I saw the story, but who actually was the perpetrator of the crash?
Well, here's the bumper stickers, Dr. Savage. These are the left-wing bumper stickers. Donald Trump on the back, basically saying he commits atrocities. So it was clear that there was a political edge to this person.
Isn't that an Antifa symbol on a car?
It looks like a double anarchist symbol there. That's what it looks like.
Okay, so the anarchists are behind it. They're a criminal organization. Biden's friends are in the Antifa movement. So the answer is look uphill, not downhill. It's all coming from above. Remember the old adage, a fish rots from the head down. And the fish that's running this country has a head that's rotted a long time ago, let alone today. Fell off his bicycle, you hear? Well, we wish him a speedy recovery, but he doesn't belong on a bicycle. He belongs in a chair in an old age home with a blanket on himself before he does more damage to the world. So a fish rots from the head down. He's in cahoots with illegal aliens, drug smugglers, human smugglers, in cahoots with terrorists, in cahoots with psycho babblers, in cahoots with people who pretend to be men in order to beat men and pretend to be women to beat women. This is a sick, degenerate government. I don't have no other words for it. Make believe you're in a house with me. What would I say to you? These people are mentally sick. Unfortunately, Logan, they're running the world. One last point. Ukraine. So we send all this equipment to Ukraine, allegedly, right? Now, as your last guest talked about, war is brewing with China. Are we going to have to go to Ukraine and buy them from Zelensky? Or do you think Zelensky will lend them back to us in a Lend-Lease program? I can guarantee you, knowing Zelensky and his pals, they'll charge us triple what we gave them for nothing in order to get howitzer shells back. And bunker fuel. How about bunker fuel, Logan, for our ships? Old Joe the bicyclist is draining our strategic oil reserve. Does anyone even know what that is? It was established in 1911, if I remember correctly, by Teddy Roosevelt. So we would have bunker fuel to run our Navy. So now who's going to run our Navy? What, are they going to run bicycle power on our aircraft carriers? Well, they're nuclear, thank God. But there are many ships that run on bunker fuel. So we're going to have to buy the fuel from who? Ukraine? No. We'll go to Russia and ask them to sell us oil to run our Navy so we can fight China. That would be Joe Biden at his best.
Well, Dr. Savage, and to that point, we got to run. The Pentagon put out a press release about how they can walk and chew gum at the same time. That might be the case to them. For a lot of us, we think that they're pretty one-dimensional with the way things are going right now. Dr. Michael Savage, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Answers all the questions.
He really was ahead of his time many times. Dr. Savage, great to see you as always.